What does it mean for something to be Freudian? What does that even mean? Who is that even from? Where do we get that from? First, I just would like to say, before I even get into it, welcome to the No News, Just Facts podcast. This is episode 72, and I'm back again, solo dolo. But let's get right into it. Sigmund Freud was an Austrian neurologist and the founder of psychoanalysis, a clinical method for evaluating and treating pathologies in the psyche through dialogue between a patient and a psychoanalyst. To even take it a step further, what to even take it a step further, his theories were bent on psychodynamic approach to psychology, which looks to unconscious drives to explain human behavior. Freud believed that the mind is responsible for both conscious and unconscious decisions that it makes on the basis of psychological drives. The ID, ego, and superego are three aspects of the mind Freud believed to comprise a person's personality. Freud believed that people are simply actors in the drama of their own minds, pushed by desires, pulled by coincidence. Underneath the surface of our personalities represent the power struggle going on deep within us. I'm not going to go too much on it, but I'm going to continue with it just a little bit, just a little bit. Psychoanalytical theory. The idea, according to Freud, or Freud, whatever, is the part of the unconscious that seeks pleasure. His idea of the ID explains why people act out in certain ways when it is not in line with the ego or superego. The ID is the part of the mind which holds all of humankind's most basic and primal instincts. It is the impulsive, unconscious part in the mind that is based on the desire to seek immediate satisfaction. The ID does not have a grasp on any form of reality or consequence. Freud understood that some people are controlled by the ID because it makes people engage in need satisfying behavior without any accordance with what is right or wrong. Freud compared the ID and the ego to a horse and a rider. The ID is compared to the horse, which is directed and controlled by the ego or the rider. This example goes to show that although the ID is supposed to be controlled by the ego, they often interact with one another according to the drives of the ego. And we're going into the ego. I'm going to go a little bit more into it, but this is all going to be resoundingly circling by the time I end this podcast, because everything that I'm about to cover in today's podcast has something to do with the ID, the ego, or the superego. In order for people to maintain a realistic sense here on earth, the ego is responsible for creating a balance between pleasure and pain. It is impossible for all desires of the ID to be met, and the ego realizes this but continues to seek pleasure and satisfaction. Although the ego does not know the difference between right and wrong, it is aware that not all drives can be met at a given time. The reality principle is what the ego operates in order to help satisfy the ID's demands, as well as compromising according to reality. The ego is a person's self composed of unconscious desire. The ego takes into account ethical and cultural ideas in order to balance out the desires originating in the ID. Although both the ID and the ego are unconscious, the ego has close contact with the perceptual system. The ego has the function of self preservation, which is why the ability to control the instinctual demands from the ID. The ego is first and foremost a bodily ego. It is not merely a surface entity, but is itself the protection of a surface. If we wish to find an anatomical analogy for it, we can best identify it with the cortical homuncle. I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. Of anatomus, which stands on its head and the cortex sticks up, its heels faces backward, and as we know it, has its speech area on the left hand side. The ego is ultimately derived from bodily sensations, chiefly from those springing from the surface of the body. It may thus be regarded as a mental protection of the surface of the body, representing the superficies of the mental apparatus. What the hell does all that mean that I just read? This is all going to go into the next part covering the first topic. In order to continue and understand this Freudian ideology, we have to go to something that attends to the Freudian nature and the ego and the ID, and that is Andrew Tate. So, if you didn't know, Andrew Tate was basically banned from every platform, every social media platform possible. I think the only place I didn't hear that he got banned from was Twitch, which that's surprising because I heard it was Instagram, it was Facebook, uh, TikTok, YouTube. He was basically banned from every single platform just for the ideologies and things that he was saying. Um, but as it seems, as of right now, he's actually come back out and he's on, I believe he's streaming on a platform called Rumble. I have never heard of it before in my life, but honestly, just my own opinion of the guy, I feel like he, and this is gonna sound like I don't know, like a typical robot, typical male point of view, but I mean, whenever, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna just say that the thing that they're doing with Andrew Tate is the same thing they tried to do with Kevin Samuel. It's the same thing that they tried to do with, I don't know, just any male figure that has their own way of trying to instill a type of ideology of uh, of a movement for men. They try to cancel that out. Um, do I agree with some of the things that he says? Yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of some of the things that he says that have to do with, like, men's mental health and just being able to have like a stronger mindset and believing things can be, those positive mindsets. I totally agree with the things that he says. I generally, when it comes to, the things about females and what he said about females, I don't agree with it. But then again, I've always looked at all the stuff he's done as just, I've always looked at at Andrew Tate as a character, bro. Like, I've never really truly taken a lot of the controversial things he said serious in any vein. Um, and that's where the Freudian ideology comes in. And I believe he is exactly that. I believe that he went from the ID factor to the ego factor. And thus we are in the super ego factor. So I just want to go and go ahead and react to like his newest episode of his pod. I believe it's called Emergency Meeting.
The Matrix is attacking this stream as we speak. The Matrix is afraid. Tristan, they fired their biggest weapon at us. They looked at us and thought they have too much power, too much influence. Let's hit them with the most powerful weapon we have. Let's cancel them. Let's close all their accounts. Let's make them vanish. Let's destroy their influence. That's the biggest bullet they have. Imagine shooting a man with your last bullet, and he stands there, unfazed.
Do I look canceled?
From what I can see,
I'm not gonna lie, they on 10 right now. Like, bro, he's on 10 right now. He's on. I don't know what. I don't know if he took an energy drink or something, but he is. Yeah, he's. For somebody who got banned on everything, he doesn't seem like he's in a bad space.
See, we have 70,000 people watching us. I don't feel canceled. Do you feel canceled?
Well, isn't that triple the number of our largest ever stream up until this point with Emergency Meeting Live?
They have made martyrs of us. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you the mistake they have made. This is the only time in human history where the betas of Earth had power over the alphas. Before this, they had no power, but now they have a little bit of power. They can cancel you. That's what they can do. They can come along and cancel you. And everyone they've canceled so far ended up canceled. So they thought they could cancel the top G. It's the weapon that always works. They fired the bullet that never fails. It bounced off of my skin, and here I am. I still emerge more powerful than ever before. There is a large contingent of the population. There's a large contingent of men out there who don't want to wear makeup, who don't want to be girls, who don't want to be told they're toxic because they want to go to the gym, who want to drive nice cars, who want to have money, who want to have hot chicks. And there's nothing wrong with us. We are not evil. We are not bad. We're not misogynistic. We're not out to hurt anybody. Let me tell you one more thing. When bad things happen, they call men like us. The feminists who hate us and call us toxic, the second they have trouble, they'll call a police officer. Do you think they want a feminist male to turn up or a man like me and you?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. He's spitting rapid fire right now. The bad thing about canceling somebody like him is that you cut off his head and now he's grown another head. You cut off like this, you cut his head off of his neck and he's gonna grow another head. Now that he's been canceled off of every platform, practically every social media platform, now it feels like it's even gonna be even harder to stop this, from stop him as a person from getting whatever message out. As I stated before, they've tried this with other creators who were males who had certain points to make. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's because of the way he looks or what, but I keep forgetting that he's black. I think that's the main thing. I forget that he's a black man. To this point, they've done all the social engineering they could do to like try to cut the legs from under this man, and he's basically coming back and saying, "Hey, y'all thought y'all got me, but I'm about to go from 0 to 100 real quick in the second version of this get back of this new essence I got going on. And if I got to be on another platform to do it, I'm gonna do it."
They need us and they use us. But the second we have an opinion, the second I decide to voice and talk about the things that we talk about, explain our points of view, they want to cancel us. They don't want us to speak. They just want us to defend them, build the railroads, build the roads, be the workhorses, be the slaves. And they think we're not allowed a point of view. Well, they made a fucking mistake, because I, like every great leader throughout history, charge first before my army. Cavalry charge at the enemy. You can cancel me. I'm about to pave the road for every other man out here with an opinion who's going to get canceled. I'll show you where to fucking go. Bro, let's get ready to rumble.
Controversial influencer and
Man, that sounds like a man. Like, whew. Yeah. That's just part of his. I guess you would call it a pod. I guess that's his podcast with his brother, Tristan. And then I also want to look at he had a whole interview with Tucker Carlson. I don't watch Fox News at all, but I mean, I want to take a look at that as well as his final video on the YouTube platform that he had did. So going into this, yeah, watch it with no problems.
Young men, 20, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me in a... I don't really feel like I've exposed anything. Like, I'm truly not a very political person. This is the first time someone's experienced this level of ban. I'm not particularly right-wing. I don't vote. I mean, I obviously have my own personal views, but they didn't ban me for that. They banned me simply because I had large swaths of the population agreeing to very traditional masculine values. Teenage men and young men, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me and aspiring to be like me. I have a very traditionally masculine life. I have fast cars and a big house and a lot of money and a beautiful girlfriend. And they thought this was very, very threatening. And for some reason, they decided.
It's not that it was very, very threatening with your money and your cars and the women you. I feel like there were people on the internet who decided to take his content and just chop it up and make their own narrative of it. Just like he said in his video, in his final video, he said that they were taking the long form videos that he had, and they weren't watching the long form videos. They were watching the short form videos, and the videos that got chopped down to where it made it look like he said certain things that he didn't say, because they chopped it down and made it sound like, oh, it was this, but it was something else. It wasn't that. It was other things that he was actually saying that was getting ignored because nobody actually went and watched the long form videos that he had. I believe that's what started this whole entire thing. It wasn't about the lifestyle he led. It was the way people were chopping down the things he was actually saying into smaller form videos, into things that he didn't necessarily say, and turning it into a whole nother thing of that had its own problematic value to it.
I did that. It's better if they annihilate me from the internet and replace me with somebody who's more aligned with whatever they're trying to purport.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. The people in charge of the world pretend to care, but when somebody who's championing men's issues like myself comes forward and finally manages to garner huge percentiles of the public support, I'm silenced. So they're not really interested in men's issues. And there's a lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected. They feel invisible. The agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with, or they feel affinity to, or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're going to need to get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told, reject the slave mind, think for yourself, get a strong network of brothers, work aside them. Don't tolerate low-quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games, or men who are disloyal or dishonest. By extension, don't tolerate women or girlfriends who are disloyal or dishonest, and try and build and create a reality full of high-quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with.
And that's where it starts to get a little that's where it starts to get a little bit like, okay, I don't know. I don't necessarily know. Cause I mean, some of it is like, okay, yeah, I see where he's coming from. And then other parts of it is just like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. You know? I don't know. Like I said, I keep forgetting that this man is black. This is a black man. And some people like compare him to Kevin Samuels. They're different. I feel like the difference between him and Kevin Samuels is like Kevin Samuels. The war between men and women is so stupid. It's so senseless. It's like, what are we really fighting for? It makes no, bro. It makes no sense. There's 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 so much BS on both sides of this game, of this spectrum, of this world we live in, of this life where we breathe in the same air, have the same red blood coming out of our system. Like it's very apparent that there has been a war. I don't want to say on men, but when we he's not wrong about I feel like he's not wrong about the issues with men. Like when men's issues come up, I feel like when men's issues get talked about, it's just like it's laughable. Like how would you like, like just like a man's mental health and how that I don't feel like that's taken very seriously, or a man feeling like the love that a woman has for him isn't for real, for real. Like if I had all the money in the world and I had a girlfriend who was with me for my money aspects and not for my love, kind of sort of stuff like that in a sort of way. There are different issues that there are different trials and tribulations that men go through that don't get talked about enough. And as I stated before, like we don't have it's easy for women to have, you know, um talking heads that represent them and feminists and this and that. But for men, it's like we're not really allowed to have that, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that he speaks for every single man. Don't get me wrong, because he doesn't. There are different talking heads that represent men as well. But I mean, I'm gonna be honest and say you can't count him out because he has some talking points that I feel like are exclusively geared towards men, even if like in some sort of way, like because like I said, I feel like all of this is a character, and to a certain degree, a lot of the things that he be saying is like just to enthuse this Freudian character that he has put on put out to the media, whether it be the internet or social media, whichever have you. Um, that's just how I feel about it, for real.
And grow up truly happy. And what happens is when I say these things, they ignore 95% of what I say. They ignore me saying that you need to avoid low quality men. And they take the bit where I say avoid women who are dishonest. And then they put it on a reel, a very short 3 or 4 second clip. And then they say I'm a misogynistic person and I'm dangerous to women and I need to be banned. The problem is that the majority of young men in the world today are completely invisible. And social media has made them invisible. If you go into an Instagram feed, you have extremely beautiful women, which is fine. They're beautiful. They're allowed to take pictures. But the only men who have followers are men with massive social status, right? Men with Ferraris and money, or rappers, or people who have YouTube channels, interesting people. If you're a normal man with a normal job, you don't really exist in the online world. It's very difficult to get followers. Nobody replies to your DMs. You don't really matter. You don't have access to the sexual marketplace. It's very difficult for you to even get any kind of recognition that you're even alive.
That's crazy because he's actually right about that. A good amount of social media is just like people with money. A regular person with a job is not looked at like uh, some type of superficial, some type of like superhuman being because they have a regular job and make regular money and work 40 hours a week, versus three rappers who are in their 20s rocking chains and throwing money in the air and hanging around a lot of bad, you know what I'm saying, baddies because they're rappers. I dig what he's saying there. I get what he's saying.
And a lot of men feel lost and lonely because of that. And I was championing to a degree their issues by saying to them, look, that is unfair perhaps, but that's the way the game works. You need to become a man of importance. You need to become a man of influence, or you're going to suffer the pain of being invisible forever. Here is how you do it. I wasn't trying to change the rules of the game. I was just telling the men how to win because I came from nothing and I'm completely and utterly self-made. And I think the reason a lot of men are so depressed is because they feel invisible. They feel like the life is too hard. Women expect me to be strong and smart and funny and interesting with a nice apartment and a fast car and tall and well connected and funny, and it's just too much for them to handle. And the social pressure on men is absolutely immense. And I was championing their issues. And at the same time, all these social media platforms pretend to care. As soon as somebody they resonate with stands up and champions their issues, they mass blanket ban me, which shows they have absolutely no care for the young men of the world today. They think that by banning me, I'm just going to vanish and the young men are just going to go and start eating the gruel that they're fed on their YouTube feed. They don't want to read. They don't want to see transgender people wear makeup. They don't want to see that. They want to see a man who has a bunch of money and a nice life and some fast cars and is strong and is confident. They want an action hero. And that's something that large portions of the world still want to be. And YouTube and social media platforms obviously just don't like the idea of that. They want to get rid of me and try and replace me with something they see as far more malleable, trying to create people which are more malleable and more easy to program and more easy to control.
So news accounts in the United States say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania.
Well, I mean, like I said, I see where he's coming from. I don't agree with every single solitary syllable of vowels that he is saying. But a good amount of it, drives home a point of respectability for men. Respectability for men. And that's what I get when we go back to talking about Kevin Samuels. Just the everyday working man needs to be respected. You know what I'm saying? Like, the everyday working man deserves his respect as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man who works 40 hours a week, they deserve the good life too. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way he's saying it is a little bit more. It might come off a sort of way, of course, but I mean, to a certain degree, that's basically the same thing he's saying. Basically, the same thing he's saying.
Was tipped off to your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking. Given that this is the same charge they leveled against Julian Assange or a species of it, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested. So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted. It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American Embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world. I have absolute respect for the police. I would hate to live in a country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely. They turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking. There's no women who are tied up. There's none of these things. It's all just complete fallacy.
You probably made some of these companies mad with your views on COVID. So sum up for us, if you would.
And there lies the problem. The C word. I think I'm gonna stop there because I don't want this portion of it to get, whatever, what have you. Oops. I don't want it to get, whatever, but just in general, this is a lesson that I think everybody should learn from, that even if you block somebody, the comeback for this, for any person, and especially when it's a man that putting out this message, it might not, the way the message is delivered might be very coming off as asshole-ish, maybe. But a lot of the stuff, quite a few things that are being said are true. The things about men's mental health and the ideology of just a man being a man, letting a man be a man, regular men who work 9 to 5 and work 40 hours should be appreciated, just like the men who make millions and millions of dollars and drive fast cars and go out with supermodels and things of that nature. They deserve to be in that bracket as well. Like I said, it's kind of like a previous figure or spearhead, but his, the message is said a little differently, and some things are different the way this person said it versus how he said it. But all in all, it all comes back down to men don't have any real representation like that. We don't really have any real representation. Don't even get me started with black men. Black men, we don't have real representation like that. We don't really have like a committee of talking heads that represent us like that. The way black women have a real representation of talking heads. We don't have that. So yeah, that's part of the Freudian nature. Okay, the next level of this Freudian leveling is going to be this. Shout out to the Family TV, using this as a reference point. We're going to get into ATL 4PF rapper accused of a 3-year-old in the head. Little baby artist and friend.
Recent months, you've had 2 high-profile gang racketeering cases. There are going to be more.
Over the next 60 days, you'll see 2 more.
Police have now confirmed the shooting happened on Lafayette Parkway overnight Saturday into Sunday. The victim is an 18-year-old man. Now, we're told he had been in LaGrange with musical performers Cold Hearted Savage and others. They were performing at Club True. Police say Cold Hearted Savage is employed by the 4PF music label, which is reportedly associated with criminal street gangs in Atlanta.
Atlanta police are searching for the gunman who shot a 2-year-old boy. Authorities say that child is fighting for his life in the hospital tonight.
Police say right now that little boy is in very serious condition. They say a shooter pulled up alongside the car he was riding in and opened fire. Police tell Fox 5 a blue Kia Optima tailed them to the corner of Peters and Chapel.
The car pulled alongside on the passenger side and began to open fired, striking the 2-year-old who was in the back seat.
The boy's father rushed him to Fire Station 14 on Lee Street. The Atlanta Fire Department says firefighters treated the boy until an ambulance arrived.
The child is in critical condition, but stable, and so that's right now. That's a good sign.
Deputy Chief Charles Hampton says it isn't clear if the victims knew the shooter, but he says the shooter targeted the victim's car.
Exit out the vehicle.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this don't look good for Lil Baby at all. Considering the fact that he's one of the biggest rappers in the country, and you know, he has amassed a gigantic success. And also, of course, y'all already know what the whole thing with QC, everything that's going on with quality control music right now, and how the Migos split. He's basically the guy right now. As I stated, man, it really does not look good for not just Lil Baby, but his crew in general, because this man going and doing this tragic, heinous crime is just gonna make it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one step closer to getting to the biggest rapper in the world right now. Like, I wonder how Lil Baby is gonna like respond to this. For real. Because you know, right now rappers, especially ATL rappers, like that are like tied up in any sort of thing that has to do with, like, you know, gangs, they getting picked up and thrown in the cell like nothing. So
before me. Just put the phone down for us, please, so you don't get yourself hurt. Come back towards us. Any weapons on you? Get your hands away from your purse for me. Put them on top of your head.
Officer recovers a weapon from the female passenger. The weapon was determined to belong to Nnjf, right?
Out.
Put him in over?
Yeah, he's got his phone and a big stack of cash in his pocket.
Listen, I love you, bro.
I'll walk you.
Come
on. Hey, follow this officer right here. Come on.
I love you for real.
They said they found a big stack of cash in his pocket. You know that money is about to disappear. That money is not about to make it to the police station. I bet it's not gonna make it to the police station.
Bro, can I get my girlfriend a kiss out, please?
You'll get it in a second. Come on, buddy.
It seemed like trouble following Lil Baby. 2 of his close friends and also 2 of his artists are part of 4PF that's also from his same neighborhood, Western Apartments. It seems as if, though, according to police, allegedly, they both been getting in some trouble lately. Earlier this year, back in May, we recently did a report. Lil Baby friend and also artist had been in the news lately for having a friend, after leaving his show, being kicked out of moving.
Yo, what the heck? It's two rappers from his crew? Bruh. Rapper friend in the head, dead after leaving show. ATLGA, 4PF rapper friend shot in the head, left for dead at a hospital 1 hour away. Dang, man. The sacrifices of being famous, bro. Like, the music industry is really that playground. You know what I'm saying? In a dark way. Like, it's a playground of you know what I'm saying? Just the entertainment industry in general. So, like, dang, bro, that's crazy.
Vehicle after being shot in the head.
Police have now confirmed the shooting happened on Lafayette Parkway overnight Saturday into Sunday. The victim is an 18-year-old man. Now, we're told he had been in LaGrange with musical performers Cold Hearted Savage and others. They were performing at Club True. Police say Cold-Hearted Savage is employed by the 4PF music label, which is reportedly associated with criminal street gangs.
But not even a full 3 months later, reports had came out that his other friend, also artist, Lil Dirty Tate, for allegedly shooting and wounding a 3-year-old after targeting his father. Fam, before we cover this, remember, I don't give you no angle. I just give you the story. So with that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to jump right to it. With the DA of Fulton County, Georgia, of more RICO indictments in the upcoming future, it's hard not to think Lil Baby won't be in that category. Especially when you look up, the news is already indicating his brand as a gang. Back in August 3rd, 2022, police had released a report that a toddler was wounded in a targeted Atlanta shooting. It was broad daylight outside in a black Dodge Charger. A father and his 2 kids was leaving a local barbershop called Off the Hook. Inside that vehicle was 2 kids, 5 and 3. The Atlanta Police Department said the shooting happened around 4 p.m. near Peter Street and Chapel Road, near the Morehouse and Spelman campuses. At the time, the only thing that was determined was that authorities knew that they was being followed from the barbershop, and they didn't quite know whether the person who shot at them and the person who was getting shot actually knew each other. Police said the driver of a Kia targeted the victim's car. Both cars stopped at the light of Chapel Road. The car pulled alongside on the passenger side and began to open fire, striking the 2-year-old that was in the back seat, Deputy Chief Hampton had quoted. The driver of the Kia.
You a new level of evil. You're a new level of evil if you are brandishing a weapon and opening fire on somebody with their kid, man. That's crazy. It ain't no way. Like, I seen I don't know if it was like, this is an alleged list of, it's like an alleged list of like groups of rap groups that are affiliated with street ties or whatever that are about to be, you know what I'm saying, that are getting targeted, you know, with you know, that whole, like I said, with the RICO stuff, and 4PF was on that list allegedly, you know. So, but as I said, and I'm like, you got to be a new. That's a new type of evil. Somebody aiming at like having so much venom in them to aim at somebody who got their kids. Like, bro, it like that. Just, I don't even understand. I don't even know the words to say, like, to put together how a baby, bro, like, it just don't make no sense. It's like, it reminds me of that story of like, what was it? The 12-year-old who shot a baby. What was his name? Lil Rodney, the rapper. He like shot a baby. It's just the stories just keep.
Had fled south from Peter Street. The toddler's father drove to a fire station about 1.5 miles south of the shooting scene. Firefighters there had took the 2-year-old to a local hospital. He was in critical condition, but was pronounced stable condition as early as Wednesday evening.
8-year-old boy is recovering tonight after being shot inside his father's car. Tonight we hear from his family and get an update on how that boy is doing.
Good evening. I'm Deidre Dukes and for Courtney Bryant.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Tom Haynes, and that is where we begin tonight. The family of that wounded 3-year-old boy has revealed that there were 2 children in the back seat of the car when he was shot this week on Peter Street.
Atlanta police still have not found the shooter, who they say targeted the father and his 2 sons. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor talked with the toddler's family, who says Javon Jewell's medical condition is improving.
Javon Jewell's family is obviously extremely shaken by this very disturbing shooting. But at the same time, they tell me they are grateful. Not only will Javon pull through, but his 5-year-old brother, who was also in the back seat, was not hit.
He's alert. and everything. And we like to thank everybody for their prayers.
Javon Jules' family is so grateful the toddler survived a horrific car-to-car shooting on Peter Street on Wednesday afternoon. His granddad says his condition is improving every day.
They did remove the bullet from his head. So,
ooh, man. Lord Jesus, that boy got shot in the head. Lord, it's only a miracle. It's only a miracle that he pulled through. He pulled through and you know, they was able to get the bullet out of his head. And you know how you know how it's gonna look now with the father. You know, I believe, you know, of course, because like now it's gonna they're gonna it looks like child endangerment for real, honestly. Because now, like, you know, when a kid when it's two kids involved, but the other kid obviously didn't get hit. But looks like a child endangerment case on his side of things.
He was real lucky. The doctor said he was real lucky because he wasn't too far from entering the brain.
Granddad Regis Yates also revealed Javon's 5-year-old brother had also gotten a haircut and was in the car when someone pulled on the passenger side of the vehicle and opened fire. There were 2 babies in the car?
They was in the back seat.
So it missed the 5-year-old?
Yes.
The father, Dawan Jewel, and the 5-year-old were not injured. Mr. Yates says the car, riddled with bullets, is the only vehicle the family had. They have started a GoFundMe and are in need of financial assistance.
The kids, they could use some help. Anytime something like this happens, it's a major setback. It's a major setback, especially when it's your child.
This case is really a top priority for Atlanta police. They want to find this shooter, and they say this will become a Crime Stoppers case in coming days with a $2,000 reward. In downtown, Angelique Proctor, Fox 5 News.
Prayers up to that kid and his family for a speedy recovery. It wasn't until a couple of weeks after this scene, on August 23rd, a Wednesday, 2022, when an arrest had came for the attempt murder of that 3-year-old toddler against him and his dad and the other brother that was in the car, who luckily didn't get injured. And it shocked the hip-hop community when reports had came out that the person behind this shooting was allegedly Lil Baby artist, also friend, Lil Dirt Tate. Police said 24-year-old Katavius Wright was charged with aggravated assault, attempt murder, and cruelty to children and gang-related charges. Once again, they keep doing those gang-related charges, family. Police think he shot 3-year-old Javon Jewel on August 3rd at Peterson Street and Chapel Street after the child father took the children to get a haircut. To be honest, fam, I don't care about no rapper. I care about this 3-year-old boy who could have lost his life. They're gonna be damaged for the rest of his life.
Nah, facts. That little baby, that, no pun intended, that little child is gonna have PTSD for the rest of his life and be in fear of seeing guns on television, guns on the internet, guns in real life. He's gonna be in so much fear. It's gonna damage who he is as a person. Even at this young age, like, I know because I feel like I have PTSD in some ways. I still live in an area where gunshots go off, and when I was younger, I lived in another area where it was accustomed to hear gunshots at night. It's just like you become accustomed to having a sort of PTSD where if you hear like a loud noise, you assume that it's a gunshot. You know, if you hear fireworks, you assume, you know, you hear fireworks, you don't see them, you assume that it's gunshots going off in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of sort of like that. The little kid is gonna have to deal with PTSD for the rest of his youth and even into him growing up as an adult. And that's very unfortunate for him and man, my prayers go out to that kid, man. Prayers go out to that kid, bro, because forget about just like dude said, forget about the rapper or who they are, their identity. A little kid got hurt, bro. Like for real got hurt. And he ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He is just a child, growing up trying to figure out and learn things, And it's just trash and devastating that, things happen the way they happen,
As he was shot in the head at 3. Fam, it ain't looking good for Lil Baby and for PF. And it's very unfortunate because you can't control grown men actions. But because they're associated with you, you might be to blame just as much as them, unfortunately. Fam, that was the story of an Atlanta rapper.
And the very unfortunate part about all this is, just like he said, Lil Baby has nothing to do with a grown man's decision to go light up a vehicle with children in it, as well as whoever that gentleman was, who was obviously his opposition. But to make that decision to go through with something like that is just very shocking. It's very shocking to say the least. But it goes back to that Freudian ego. That ego is involved, and everything just like that. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say in that regard, to be fair and honest with you. It's just very, I don't know, man. Just prayers go out to the kid, man. Prayers go out to both the kids, because even though the other kid didn't get hit or anything like that, that child is also going to have to deal with the fact that, like, dang, they saw their relative, their brother or their brother get hit by a bullet, and hearing them cry is going to be a memory that's just going to just be damaging to them for good amounts of their of that child's life. I'm gonna be honest, let's get into this next part of it, because I've been ready to do this since I took that listen to the album. DJ Khaled and this God Did album. First of all, I just want to go on record and say that I really thought that this was a gospel album. The way it is packaged and delivered, it looks like a gospel album. It looks like a gospel album. The look versus the sound, two different things. I don't know if his aim was to try to go for a feel of like a Kanye feel, and how Kanye has made, Jesus is king. And, and even in some sort of ways, Donda would be another gospel album, to be fair. But respectfully, Kanye found his way to make those gospel albums in their own sort of way, without like kind of breaking away from the barrier of him, being a man who has newly found the faith of Christianity and not breaking that, even though he is a secular artist, and he was able to do that. Now, this, on the other hand, is an industry, this is also an industry guy who's playing around and toying around with not necessarily on the vein of Kanye, but trying to be on the vein of Kanye, but it's more like, it feels like it's mockery and toying around with the idea of God or the gospel on an album, but not really trying to land in the vein of it being a gospel album, but more like just putting a quote, taking a quote or making up a quote that could go throughout the album or make the album feel in a way of that vein, but not really. And that's what you get here with this Khaled God did. Remember, like I said, God did. I get, to be fair, I've listened to the album and, meh. It's a DJ Khaled album. What are you really looking for when you go into a DJ Khaled album? I mean, as far as I could tell you, in about like, I don't know. I like Khaled's older stuff better than I like some of this. Some of it feels just a little bit like forced, just a little bit. No disrespect, but it just feels forced. It feels like, yeah, it just feels forced, bro. Like the songs I did like, I liked God Did, the title track, of course. I like that. The Uses Gospel remix, it was surprising, to say the least, to hear Eminem talk about God. That was just so completely shocking to hear Eminem say anything that had to do with religion or a higher being, because what Eminem is usually talking about is total opposite of that. But that was I had heard this track before. There's a whole this whole track is literally on YouTube. Like a snippet of it was on YouTube for like a long time. I'm sure it's not there anymore, but yeah, I like that track. Those two tracks, if anything, are your biggest gospel sounding sections of this album. But everything else just sounds like your typical secular rap music about sex, drugs, alcohol, and women. Sex, drugs, alcohol, and women. Everything else just sounds like a regular day at the office for a lot of these rappers. Big Time, yep, that's regular day at the office. Keep going, sounds like a regular day at the office. Party. Now I'm gonna be honest and say that Party just sounds so. I ain't gonna lie. Hearing Quavo and Takeoff and no Offset it just feels so weird now. It feels so weird, like not hearing all three of the Migos on a track together. I ain't gonna lie. I will say that the "Staying Alive" song. I mean, I had heard that. It's what it is. It's what I expect from a Drake and Lil Baby feature. Feature and SZA, it was cool. It Ain't Safe. I actually kind of like that one. Let's Pray with Don Toliver and Travis Scott. Like I said, a lot of this is just a lot of this is just, it's your typical DJ Khaled album. Like I said, the ones I liked was God Did, Uses Gospel. Party was cool. I actually like that one. And I think Juice WRLD did in the Jadakiss interlude. are the only other things I like on here. I don't know why I thought this would be a gospel album, but hey, like I said, if you are a DJ Khaled aficionado, go for it. But if you were expecting something other than the usual day at the office, don't be surprised when you press play. Is all I'm saying. So Ari Spears is going viral for speaking on Lizzo, and right now, before I even get into my spiel of everything, I'm gonna react to it. So this is on the Art of Dialogue page. I'm just gonna react. I'm not gonna react to the full entire what is that? 3 minutes and 34 seconds. I'm just gonna react to it like I think I'm probably just gonna react to like a minute, maybe 2 minutes of it, and then I'm gonna cut it off. So, let's just see what he has to say about Lizzo. I'm from Houston. I was raised in Houston. I support the home team. Lizzo is, she's an incredibly talented woman. I don't even, honestly, to be fair, she makes a lot of BBWs feel proud, So let's just see what he has to say. And I'll give my full commentary afterwards or in between.
Lizzo.
Lizzo?
Yeah, bro. Have you heard her shit, yo? Like as a songwriter, yo.
I can't get past the fact that she looks like the shit emoji.
Now, on one hand, y'all gotta just remember that Ari Spears is a comedian, and comedians are paid to tell jokes. So he's a comedian. Just remember that.
Yo.
Very beautiful girl. She got a very pretty face, but she keeps showing her body off, nigga. Like, come on, man. Come on, yo. I'm sorry. Listen, I ain't the most in shape nigga in the world, but I still, when you funny and you got swagger and confidence and you decent looking, I think I'm at least handsome, you get pussy. But a woman that's built like a plate of mashed potatoes is in trouble.
Oh, shit.
I mean, on one hand, like I said, he's a comedian, and they're paid to tell jokes, and in that moment in time, sometimes people forget that being a comedian is a tough job in the first place. They're getting refereed every single second. This is not me caping for the guy or anything like that, but comedians have it hard enough as is. Basically being regulated for doing their job and talking about what they want to talk about on stage, let alone in a manner of like online content. So like so far looking at what he said, it's like I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't really funny to me. It's just kind of like in my head, I'm like, look, bro, he at least said, hey, she's a pretty woman. She's he doesn't just all the way think she's like ugly or anything like that. But I don't know why I just didn't find it funny at all for some reason. I don't know why, but just wasn't really funny. If he says anything else.
I'm sorry. But musically, yo, she go hard, man. She a good songwriter, though.
Oh, yo, she's dope. Her music hard, her body ain't.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh, here they come. The wall of Braveheart bitches. Like the battle on the field coming over the hills. Are you ready for war? You can hear the horses thumping on the fucking ground. It's about to, here he come. Who that motherfucker think he is? Be body shaming, fat motherfucker.
Hey, low key, he's right. I can feel like the comment section of a shade room post. Just in that vein, I could just feel like the comment section in a shade room post or a spiritual word post or on Instagram just about to get heavy with women that are about to maliciously attack this man for what he has said about Lizzo. Like I said, I honestly, at this point, right at this time and moment, I'm not really finding it funny just because, like, you know, he is a big man. You know, he's a big complexioned man. You know, he's a big sized man himself. So it's like, it's kind of ironic to hear a big, you know, a heavy set man make fun of a woman for being heavy. And it's just like, I don't really, you know, I don't know.
Hey, yo. It's another thing, yo.
You know what kills me? Yo. Hold on. You know what kills me about women is the hypocrisy and the contradiction. Yes, queen, slay, queen. Yes, queen, slay. Yeah, girl, your confidence. Fuck diabetes. Fuck heart problems. Fuck heart disease, cholesterol. Y'all claim womanhood and about sisterhood and support for your sister. You know, when it come to that ridiculous shit. But if you really gave a fuck, why wouldn't you go, black girl, we love you. We love your confidence, boo-boo. But this ain't it. This ain't it. That's the real love. Y'all will jump on me for making jokes, but y'all won't fucking be real and go, sister, put the eclair down. This ain't it. It's treadmill time.
Speaking of that, right, because she does have issues with her weight, right? And it's actually a video online of her crying about being fat shamed. Did you see that video of her crying?
We all do. I do.
But yeah, man, she says she be having an issue, man, with people fat shaming her about her weight and cracking jokes about how big she is.
Well, how you gonna have issues, but at the same time show your whole ass at an NBA game? As comedians, we take what the defense gives us. You don't want to be put out there? Then don't put it out there. And again,
yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, I get what he's saying and everything like that. But at the same time, I feel like he should have just stopped while he was ahead. Like, yeah, talk about the Lizzo thing, but the woman taking accountability thing, he probably should have just left that part out, because now these women ain't gonna stop. These women ain't gonna stop attacking you, bro. These women ain't gonna stop attacking you. Like, you know, that freedom of speech thing is kind of loosely. It's loose. It's a loose hanging thread that isn't really there for real. It's like it's a gray area that's hard to really defend when you start saying certain stuff. And then we talking about black women, so black women gonna always, you know what I'm saying, come out the woodwork when it comes to, you know, them being spoken on. Even if there's certain messages that have to do with like accountability or anything like that, yeah, they definitely gonna come out the woodwork and be like, I can just see the messages, the comment sections, the shade room, spiritual word, and just any other social media, social space on any social media where there can be women to comment on something like this. He's about to get dragged through an atmosphere with women, and they just gonna keep on. I can just see it now. Why is he calling her fat when he fat himself? Da 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 da. Like it's about to be a whole thing. Comment say he about to get all types of DMs from women calling him fat fucker and all types of shit like that. You know, but people forget he's a comedian and he's making jokes. In between all of those jokes, he was literally saying, yes, she's talented. Yes, she's a beautiful woman, but she's just fat. And then when he got to the part of like women taking accountability, I was just kind of like, all right, yeah. Yeah, buddy, you should have just stopped. But, you know, I'm sure he doesn't care. So like, I don't know what's going on with like these teachers, man, but all I know is when I was younger, we ain't had no teachers that looked like this or this over here. Like, bro, what's up? Like, so this first teacher right here, she's going viral for... What is she even going viral for? I don't even understand. She's going viral on Facebook. Maybe because of the way she looked. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because of, you know, it's always going to be some like mad parents. And on this spectrum of everything, I don't even know what's wrong with this. You know, what the complaint is about this woman right here, or why she is trending. Maybe because, like I said, probably the way she looked. She's a young teacher. I guess because it's the way she's dressed. That's probably, you know, it's like the same thing with like, it's like you have to carry yourself in a certain professional manner, even in dress, as far as like being a teacher at school goes. So I mean, this seems to be all right. I don't really see what the problem is with her, but this lady. So I'm gonna just read it for you. It says parents are demanding that a teacher who goes by the art teacher on her Instagram be fired for her body being a distraction to kids. Now, when they say kids, I'm sure they just mean boys and not the girls. Like, come on now. The preschool teacher, she's a preschool teacher. That's crazy. She's a preschool teacher. The preschool teacher who resides in New Jersey defends her work despite all the negativity and generated controversy over her body. Artist, art teacher, influencer, I have worked for years to become the woman I am today, strong, successful, loving, motivated. Unfortunately, being an influencer makes it easy for most people to dismiss the immense amount of work it takes to get where I am today. Most of the time, we only show the final result. So people tend to completely discount the immense amount of work it takes to get here. Even worse, some people believe that we are made of stone and that we have no feeling. Some forget the fact that their lack of empathy can lead us to lose the income we use to support our families or our emotional control. She shared in an online post. I mean, they're young. I mean, it's young children. On one hand, it's like, but at the same time, it's like the world we live in, bro. Like we talking about like underdeveloped younger boys who don't even know that much about the world. So, I mean, it's like, I can see how this could be like a distraction. But at the same time, you know, I'm sure she's just she's a teacher, bro. Like, I believe, you know, she has like a BBL or surgery or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not gonna count that against her, you know. But she's just gotta. I feel like she's just gotta take the heat for that in stride, and just, if she's really like if she's really like passionate about being a teacher and everything like that, she should just continue, bro. Like, and hopefully they don't like fire her over some nonsense like that or whatever. Let's just see. Like, let's just go see what she actually has to say or whatever, because she has her. Let's stop this. See her response to everything that is going on. Oh, it's 14 minutes. Pretty lengthy. Just gonna see.
$11 in the morning. Huh. Good morning. ¿Cómo está todo el mundo? Espero que todo. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I'm gonna address this quick. I don't think I'm gonna be on live too long. I do have a lot to do today. I gotta go shopping and buy I gotta buy some more stuff for my classroom because I didn't finish. I actually didn't even start setting up my classroom. I just took a quick look at it and kind of like turned around because it looked a little chaotic. So I gotta go shopping to buy some new supplies for my classroom and figure out what I'm gonna do on the first day of school, like fun activities for, more importantly, for my kindergartners, because it's their first time in school, period, ever in life. So I have to get some stuff together for the kindergartners for sure. And for everybody else. But I'm really, really, really concerned for the babies because it's their first time. You want to make them comfortable. You want to make them feel safe and let them know that it's going to be a fun environment and they're going to make friends and all that good stuff. Now, only one thing out of everything that's going on in my super cluttered, crazy existence of a life is, one thing I want to address is the mothers, okay, at my school.
Because that's really what it is. It's really the mothers that are uncomfortable with her as a teacher. And just to even take it even further, it seems like she's really invested in like being a teacher, bro. Like, why would anybody want to take the joy that she has to teach younger children things that they can use in the real world? Why would any person want to take that away from her? Like, she seems really passionate about this.
School, at my specific school, meaning the one that I am an actual teacher at, some of those mothers are legit my biggest supporters. Like, biggest supporters. You understand me? I gotta say this again. The mothers from the county and community for the school that I work for are some of my biggest supporters, okay? I have seen some of these moms, and I'm talking about like some of the kindergartners' moms from last year, 5th grade, some of my old 6th graders, 3rd grade, 2nd grade. These moms have been under these like reports and these tabloids and these blog and gossip pages defending my honor without me having to say a peep, without me having to say a word, without me having to do anything, because I work at my job? What do I look like arguing with people about my physical appearance? It is so scary and mind-boggling to me that this is really a thing, you know? And I'm not gonna lie, at first I thought it was so funny. I did. I thought it was so funny. I was like reposting everything and I'm like, this is like it's kind of not funny. I'll go into it more later, but no, not right now, because it's like, it's, you know, getting to me a little bit and it's not funny. But I want to emphasize this part again. Some of the mothers at my school, my community, the place that I'm teaching at, are really my biggest supporters. Some of the people really going in for me. They write letters into my job thanking my bosses for my existence. So it's like, I don't know what's happening. And it's crazy and it's scary and sometimes it's funny. But majority of the time it's kind of scary. But yeah, I wanna give a shout out to all the moms who really, really, really have my back, especially the ones at my school. Like, what? I am scared, baby, because I don't know what's going on in the world. But yeah. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the badges. For those of you who got some badges right now, I'm definitely, so I had said that I'm using the badges to put towards my nonprofit, the nonprofit that I've been working on all year long.
So it seems like what it is some of the mothers who do not support her are the ones that are complaining to the school board and saying that she is her body is a distraction. And it seems like it's like split down the middle, where it's like half of the women are over here on her side and then the other half are like over here like, yeah, no, she's a distraction to our children and just all the children that go into her class in general. But from what I gathered from the video, bro, she's a very passionate woman about teaching these kids and you know, giving them the right methods to go into, you know, the next grade and everything like that. Like, she's a pretty woman too, and she seems very educated and a very wildflower, very enthusiastic human being. So honestly, I would like to say that, like, I hope that this just blows over, because she seems very, very, very highly like energetic. She seems like that type of teacher who is just very invested in teaching and has like a very high tolerance on just bettering her class of students for the better and just for the future and beyond. So yeah, fuck those haters. Do your thing, sis.